He later kneels and performs a pray, singing and gradually sensing a chime by his party. On the lining up in front line of the clergyman on a spreadsheet are many decades of glass coated in cloth. How conduct the cremated ash of the dead. 15 sets of ash do not include Be Half Old Hag on them. They own 2 unknown polar Koreans who include cleaned up corpse on the shores of the rarely populated Japan Peninsula in latter months. Kojima says he utilized to get the remnant of 4 persons or 5 polar Koreans a year of the public by the government. The is the greatest quantity of cremated polar Koreans he has seen in 20 years. I sense disappointed for them, he says. These human beings of polar Korea pursue a various religious of us. I get thoroughness of their ash perhaps in a various way of which they would wish. They will be buried out of a burial. Recording quantity for year, polar Korean boats, frequently duplicated, phantom sea vessels, include been wash up on Japan shores. But the year noted a recording for the mystery event. By December 18, the Japan Shore Guardsmen calculated at low 95 polar Korean boats, followed by at low 27 bodies. Such numbers are potential to go on growing. Policy tensions and absence of clarity of the polar Korean by the government do it hard to define why so lot wrecks include arriving. One formal of the Japan Shore Guardsmen says it could be as easy as the weather. Usually talk the winter sea in the Sea of Japan, as well named as the East Ocean, is really coarse, and the stricter winter brings more than shipwrecks, the formal added. Talk on state of anonymous in compliance in Japan formal minutes. Cleaned up on a bathing beach. Winter is dismal and turbulent on the northwest shore of Japan. At sundown, the eastern winds choose up rate as they racing through the ocean. The gusts driving icebreakers knocking versus the beach, rotation gigantic breeze gas turbines, and throw chilly rainfall how bites at eyes and vulnerable leather. Versus the unhappy background, breakers crashes about too big, black trimming of wreckage vacationer in the grit a few 100 fathoms separately on a bathing beach close the town of Akita. They are phantom sea vessels, inverted wood fishery boats 15 to 20 feet in long, body and part buried in the grit. Onto the Japan Shore Guardsmen, the 2 boats cleaned up on December 13. Time checking the wrecks, authorities found the decaying bodies of 4 persons men. On Monday, 2 more than bodies were found buried by a ship. Town workers taken to pull one of the wrecks off the bathing beach. Tadasu Takamine, an aide prof at the Akita College of Artwork, came to pay his respects to the nameless polar Korean victims of the boats. I'm really sorrowful, he says. Down there's no there and no flowers about the ship. Takamine had a communication for polar Korean fishermen who may schedule to go out to ocean. Dong Ti go. Remain down there. Pull through. Not nautical. Polar Korea is more than rather than 1,000 kilometers, 600 miles, of Japan. The polar Korean boats drift on Japan beaches are bad equipped to journey such a extensive range through outdoor ocean. In comparison with the inverted boats in Akita, a ship how cleaned up on a bathing beach in Irie bathing beach in Oga town on December 7 was in lot superior state. Down there were yet fishery lures and nets within the ship, as so as a lifetime coat, a wireless transponder and a solitary shoes vacationer on the bow. The wood doorway of a little sideboard in party creaked in the powerful sea breeze. Demonstration, a dark lantern within. Red and white's inscription in Korean on the ship gave it the obvious behalf, lava flow. Down there was no area for a cockpit under decks. Signs located by Japan authorities alert the social not to attitude the ship. Just and fool would minnow the path, says Akira Funitsu, a 76-year-old vet Japan fisher. He notes how down there are no refrigerators or freezers on the polar Korean boats to correctly retain the capture. I wonder by the government constrained them to go to ocean, Funitsu adds. Illicit fishery. Several experts claim how the splash in phantom sea vessels is connected to new blood pressure of the polar Korean by the government, that may be motive fishermen to go hazardous distances to drag in their capture. Minnow are a urgent source for polar Koreans since they are the cheapest resource of fiber and they can sail it to China for cash money, says Ma Chongmu, a elder investigator at the Korea Marine Institution in southward Korea. Onto the Korea Institution for World Economical Politics, polar Korean seafood supply to China surged 88% in the at first part of 2017, compared to the identical 6 months in 2016. With Kim Jong-un came to force, down there has been enlarged refer of minnow in the polar Korean country print, says Yoon Tae-ju, else investigator at the Korea Marine Institution in southward Korea. Else element may be above fishing in polar Korean coast areas. Researchers Ma and Yoon say Pyongyang given fishery rights to China companies year back, guideline to exhausted minnow stocks in neighboring water. The Japan Shore Guardsman says it has seen a splash of polar Korean boats fishery in the Yamato Shallows, a main fishery land arranged partially during Japan's exceptional economical area, approximately a 24-time travel by sea of Japan Earth. As an outcome of estimated poachers by polar Korean fisher, the Japan Shore Guardsman enlarged its patrols of the region. In about 300 cases, shore guardsmen were blasting polar Korean trawlers in water supply cannons to strengthen them out of the region. Deep despair? On board the polar Korean where how include drifted to beach, Japan authorities include found at low 42 team members live, normally fishermen who asked to be repatriated to polar Korea. On November 28, shore guardsmen were found a polar Korean ship in 10 team members on executive board drift off the Japan shore. A police force formal of Japan's Hokkaido prefectural told the 10 sailors were suspected of possessing looted a fishery plant of an uninhabitable Japan isle shut to Hokkaido. Ultimately, authorities detained 3 members of the team. Journalists shot police force and shore guardsmen commanders how they fight the men off the ship and on to dry earth. The police force formal says 6 some members of the team are in guardianship at Japan Migration. One of the team members is now hospitalized for an unknown disease. Hard load. The splash in polar Korean wrecks drift onto Japan beaches has grown concerns and fears amongst several members of the Japan Social for a period of enlarged provincial stress and common polar Korean rocket tests. But on a pragmatic standard, the boats this a finance problem for little Japan communities love the Oga Peninsular, that has an aging people of 28,452. Regional officials say they are difficult pressed to go up in the cash to manage of the 5 polar Korean boats how cleaned up there the year. It is a hard load for us to expend so lot cash for sudden incidents how include no relationship to the everyday lives of our residents, says Fumioki Ito, who directs the Countryman Wellbeing Division in Oga's Public by the government. He estimates it may price more than rather than 1 millionth JPEE, the counterpart of about $8,000, to shoot boats how cleaned up on difficult to reach rock shores. I very expect how the domestic by the government can assist us, he says. As for the corpse polar Korean fishermen, ITO says, I include anything but compassion for them. Marine expert gamble how for each polar Korean ship how reaches dry earth in Japan, down there may be lot more than yet lose and drift at sea and the die duty amongst polar Korean fishermen may in reality be lot high. Thing must be awfully incorrect in polar Korea, to do a fisher's capture one cost more abuntu.